Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelby and today I'm going to be talking about 5 books that I recommend that center around female detectives or women that are like detectives, they're acting as detectives. Some of them are series, some of them are just singular books. I will link them all down below and I would love to hear if you've read any of these or have any recommendations in this kind of sub-genre. So the first book I have to talk about is Sweet Little Lies by Kaz Freyer, I think is how you say her name. This is the first book in the Kat Kinsella series. The second one comes out this summer. And I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It takes place in London, centering around the detective Kat Kinsella. And basically this woman named Alice is found dead near Kat's father's pub. And she's not from the area, she's not from London. She was just reported missing a few weeks ago. And so Kat is investigating what happened to Alice, why she was in London, who would want to kill her. And it also jumps back to 18 years ago when Kat was just 8 years old. She was away for the summer. Her sister had a friend, and that friend, Marianne Doyle, went missing. And basically it reminds her of Alice's disappearance, or Alice's disappearance reminds her of that. And the two stories intersect, and it was a wild ride. I really enjoyed this. I loved Kaz's writing, and I cannot wait for the next one to come out. And I really liked Kat's personality, and her personal life is kind of explored a little bit in here. So I'm hoping that the next book also delves into her personal life even more. So I gave this one 4.5 stars when I read it, and yeah, can't wait for the next one. And then the next one I have to talk about is The Birthday by Carol Wire. And this is Detective Natalie Ward. That's the series. Currently there's 2 books out in the series. There's a third one coming in a couple of months. And I've only read the first one. But I'm very excited to read the next ones. They are available on Kindle Unlimited if you subscribe to that. That's where I read The Birthday. So this follows Detective Natalie Ward. A body is discovered of a little girl in this construction site. The area used to be a place where kids' birthdays were held, and so a little girl's body is found. She was about 6 years old when she went missing 2 years ago, and she's attached to basically a missing person case from 2 years ago. A little girl went missing at a birthday party, and now that her body is exhumed 2 years later, she was found in a little yellow dress, and now other girls from that birthday party from 2 years ago are also getting killed and found in yellow dresses. So Natalie Ward is trying to figure out why now, why ever since we found the body is the killer now killing those girls again, all from the same party. I really enjoyed this story. I gave it 4 stars. I would love to see what Carol Wire writes for the next 2 books. But I do recommend this. It's a super quick detective read, and I liked that I couldn't guess all of the twists and turns, and I couldn't really guess the ending till about 80%, 85% through. And then the next one I have to talk about is a series by Lisa Gardner called The Detective Dee Dee Warren. Has a total of currently 10 books. I've read 1, 8, 9, and 10. I'm trying to get through the whole series. I physically only have books 8 and 9, and I have the 10th one coming in the mail. I read it as an ARC a couple of weeks ago. The book number 8 is Find Her, and then book number 9 is Look for Me, and then book number 10 is Never Tell. And they follow, like I said, this woman detective named Dee Dee Warren. From what I know from the first book, basically you discover her as a detective and it goes through her career, and now she's in a managerial position in book number 10. So you kind of see her through her life, getting married, having a kid, as a detective, and then each book follows a different crime, which I love that about detective series, where not only do you get to know the people that are doing the detecting, but you get to learn each different crime. So in the newer books, there's a girl named Flora Dane, I believe her name is, and she was a victim from one of the books, and she is now like an undercover investigator that works for free for Dee Dee, and she is in these books, and she was a kidnapping victim and held hostage for like a year or 2, and she's one of the main characters in the book now. So not only is it a real detective, but it's also this like amateur detective, and you are jumping back and forth between them as well as whatever the crime, you're jumping to that perspective as well. And I love her writing. I get so hooked on these books. And these covers are gorgeous as well. Like, that's what drew me in. This is the first one that I read, and I just got so drawn into the story. I love how she writes about the crimes, and I like how I can't guess all of the answers right away, and the twists are amazing. So if you haven't read this series, you definitely can read them independently. You don't need to read the whole series, but I would recommend not reading them all like out of order. I liked the first book. I read that back in December, and I plan on reading the rest of the series, but the newer ones are, in my opinion, the best. So if you started from book number 8, I don't think that would be bad. I started from book number 8, and then you could just read 8, 9, and 10, and they are really good. And then another series I have to talk about is Stillhouse Lake by Rachel Caine. So the first one is Stillhouse Lake, the second is Kilman Creek, and the third is Wolfhunter River, and that one comes out in April. So there's a total of 3, and you can read those also on Kindle Unlimited if you subscribe to that. And I gave all of them between 4 and 5 stars. And I didn't mention, but I gave all of those Detective D.D. Warren 5 stars. But anyway, I gave all of the Rachel Caine books between 4 and 5 stars. And it has not exactly a detective in it, but someone who kind of plays detective. Her name is Gwen Proctor. She has 2 kids named Lanny and Connor. And her ex-husband is a serial killer, and he was discovered as a serial killer while they were married, went away to prison, and people believe that she was in on it, but she never was. And so it follows, the first book follows them trying to run away from people who want to hurt them because they think that Gwen was involved, and she meets a man named Sam who is a neighbor of hers, and they kind of start investigating deaths that are happening around them, and he remains in the books. They are on the run and investigating things, and each book follows different plot lines of crimes, but also following what happened with the serial killings of these women that her ex-husband killed. So really good series. I highly recommend it. And although Gwen isn't like a detective, she plays like an amateur sleuth, and I think she's going to end up becoming a real detective later in the series. And then the last one I have to talk about, again, is not an actual detective, but she is a journalist, and it is Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. So it's about a woman named Camille. She is a journalist, and she gets sent to do some writing about some crimes that are happening in her hometown. So she doesn't live there anymore, but her boss sends her there because 2 girls have been killed in the span of 9 months. And it's a small town, and she's set to do a report on it and write an article about it. So she goes there and tries to like investigate what's going on, and she also has to stay with her mother who lives there, and her mother have a terrible relationship, and something about her mother is linked to what is going on with all the social people are just like, it's such a tight-knit group that the people who went missing well know her mother, and so everything is just mixed together, and crazy things are happening to Camille while she's back at her hometown. And yeah, it was a really good read. I've read 2 other books, or 1.5 other books by Gillian Flynn. I didn't like Dark Places. I read about half of it and I didn't enjoy it, but I might try to reread it. And then everyone seems to like Gone Girl, but Sharp Objects is really good. I gave it 4 stars, and I think it now is either a TV show or a movie, so I'd love to check that out. But this is really good. Even though it isn't like a detective, she basically is investigating, and so I include it. So I'd love to hear what you guys think of any of these books, and if you guys have any recommendations for me, and I will see you guys on my next one. Bye.